let's go ahead and get started. I want to say just first of all, good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. I'm so excited and thrilled that you all are joining us this evening. My name is Travis Jensen. I am the Vice President of Leadership Initiatives here at the SDSU Alumni Association. On behalf of the Alumni Association and South Dakota State University, I want to welcome you all to the second annual Alumni Mentor Program Kickoff event. We are thrilled that we have finally made it here tonight. This has been a long time in the making. Tonight, we have alumni mentors joining us via Zoom, many of them who live too far away to travel here to Brookings. We want to welcome them as well. We're glad that you're able to join us. Now, I have to tell you, when we announced that we were opening the application window for the next cohort of the program, alumni from across the country raised their hands to say that I would love to support the program and our students. Hundreds of alumni from across countless industries applied to serve as mentors. It was very impressive, I have to tell you. And the quality of mentor candidates was exceptional. To be honest, the selection process was challenging with so many to choose from, but I suppose that's probably a good problem to have. But I am confident that the group of mentors that we selected will help make this a memorable experience for all of you student mentees. Would you please join me in thanking our alumni mentors who agreed to embark on this journey with you this year? Thank you. On the other side of this mentor-mentee relationship are these incredibly gifted students. Students that are extremely busy with a full slate of schedules between classes, work, student activities. But it's great to see that you value this program and you understand the opportunity this provides all of you. This will be an investment in your professional development that will have a lasting impact on your future careers. We are excited to have you participate in the program, and we can't wait to watch this play out for all of you. So please join me in congratulating these students on starting this new experience as well. The goal of creating a program like this is to help students as they look to make that transition into the next chapter of their lives as working professionals. I think we all recognize that that transition can be difficult, scary even sometimes. Mentors, I want you to just imagine going into the new work environment of today for the very first time. Think about all the changes that we've encountered in the workplace in the past few years. Things like working remotely, working with understaffed teams, expedited onboarding processes, and having only virtual connections. Those are real challenges for anyone, but that's especially a case for new professionals. So just simply having you there as a guide to help them with this experience, passing along your knowledge, will help them ease the process. But programs like this don't just simply appear out of thin air. They require vision and leadership to bring something like this forward. And fortunately, we have such a leader in our president and CEO of the Alumni Association. Would you please join me in welcoming to the podium our president and CEO, Andy Foberg.
Travis gets a bonus every time he uses my title, so he likes to say it over and over and over. Good evening. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your commitment to continuous improvement. I'm excited to have our second cohort launching this evening and thrilled that each of you are a part of it. As Travis said, my name is Andy, and in my current role, I get to lead a group of talented professionals who work to keep alumni connected to one another and to SDSU. Before I moved into this role, I spent a decade living and working in Washington, D.C., doing communications on Capitol Hill and supervising a team of new professionals who were typically 2 years removed from the college experience. Before that, I spent a few years working adjacent to college campuses as a consultant, a recruiter, and a project manager. I grew up on a farm, and let's assume that my brother, who is 14 months younger than I am, was more help on that farm than I was. I'm not saying that he was, but for the purposes of tonight, we're going to assume that he was. At some point in that shared childhood, my dad looked at me when, let's also assume, I was trying to talk my way out of doing something that would be helpful on said farm and said, "Andy, no one is ever going to pay you to talk." I don't remember deciding right then and there that it would be my life's mission to prove him wrong, but here we are today. And while yes, in roles as communicator, a consultant, a recruiter, and a project manager, you do a fair amount of talking, I have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I have learned a lot more by listening than by talking. And frankly, it is how we got here tonight. The vision for the Alumni Mentor Program came from alumni near and far, expressing their desire to give back to their alma mater. Many of them were at points in their career where they had valuable experience to share with students preparing to begin their careers, and we didn't have a good opportunity to take advantage of that knowledge. In a lot of circumstances, finding willing volunteers can be a challenge. So to have time and time again, incredibly talented and accomplished individuals telling me they would love to help students and not having a program to take advantage of that willingness or expertise felt like a waste. When we started recruiting mentors for this program, we were delighted but not terribly surprised by the number of alumni who applied to be mentors. As Travis said, hundreds of jackrabbits from across the country saw this valuable opportunity to give back. In fact, during the pilot cohort last year, when Travis had to disappoint many of those volunteers with the news that we did not have a student to pair them with, he was asked how they could improve their chances of being chosen in the future. In the course of my work, when I talk about SDSU, I talk about that this place is special. That is a great example of how special it is. People want to help prepare students for what comes after graduation. It is also a product of understanding that the professional relationship that I have enjoyed over the years have been vital to my personal and professional growth. In your lives, you have already served in the role of mentor and mentee, yet you may not have realized you were playing that role or gained all you could from it. Some of my greatest personal relationships started in the role of mentor or mentee, and in some, I know that I could have gotten more out of it with a little more intentionality. More could have been gained. This program is designed for students to learn from professionals in their chosen industry or profession. Throughout the course of the next few months, you will have an opportunity to learn from one another. Mentees. I hope you share your hopes, dreams, apprehensions, fears, and questions with your mentors. In many situations, mentors will be able to relate to what students are going through from their own experiences. They have had doubts and questions throughout their careers, and likely had someone in their sphere to advise them or ask thought-provoking questions. Mentors. I hope you share your hopes, dreams, apprehensions, fears, and questions with your mentees. I know you raised your hand to help, but I know from my own experience, and you know from yours, that you will gain great insights and learn from your mentees as well. In the pilot year of this program, we heard from mentors how valuable having conversations with students was for them in relating to younger members of their teams. It is also true that the coursework and preparation for the work has changed since many of us were in college, and learning from mentees what that looks like now has been valuable for mentors. In the end, that is part of why we think this program is so special. We know that you will all learn and grow together, and the relationships that you build. You will learn things about yourselves that you may not have imagined when you signed up. I encourage all of you to be open and honest about your experiences. I had coffee with one of my mentees this week, and we talked about everything from how she was doing personally to her upcoming budget conversations, asking for a raise, and meeting the needs of her team members. We work in similar fields, and the time we talk reminds me of that I have been through experiences that I learned from at that point, but haven't reflected on recently. Being reminded of those situations can also help me apply what I have learned to current opportunities in a way I otherwise might not. I want to leave you tonight with 4 things I hope you will keep in mind through this program. First, I keep a note on my desk that says, be generous and deliberate with your time. It is your most precious and limited resource. Yes, some of those words are in contrast to one another, but it is a reminder that we do indeed have time for the things that we value most. You cannot make more time, and you cannot get time back. The hour a month you spend with one another will fall into that category of you get out of something what you put into it. Value that time and the time of your partner. Second, frankly, vulnerability will improve results. Earlier, I encouraged both mentors and mentees to share your hopes, dreams, apprehensions, fears, and questions to get the most out of this program. Sharing our authentic selves and being vulnerable can take time, but the sooner you can move beyond the veneer, the more impactful the relationship will be. You have both committed to continuous improvement, and truly improving requires vulnerability. And I personally am probably on a track of continually improving my ability to be vulnerable. I have a lot of work to do, so I know how challenging this might be for some of you, but it will make a difference. Number 3 ties back to my note about having 2 ears and 1 mouth. I have always learned more by listening than talking, but the art of active listening takes time and practice. I will often find myself saying things like, use more words, or keep talking with people so that I do not jump to a conclusion or assume facts not in evidence. It sometimes feels like people are listening to respond rather than listening to understand. In the course of the activities in this program, you will have an opportunity to strengthen your listening muscles. And finally, have fun. This program was designed to find ways to add value to your education and to your experience, but flexible enough to allow you to get the most out of it. Our staff meetings end with a team member drawing a question out of our Cup O questions. We had a meeting just to pick the name, Cup O questions, which range from, if you could go to space, money and environmental impacts not factored, would you? To, is a hot dog a sandwich? We have very much enjoyed the opportunity to build this program and hear about the relationships that mentors and mentees have built. This is an incredible opportunity, and I hope you embrace it with the enthusiasm of a kindergartner. Thank you all for being here this evening, and I am excited for you and for what is to come. Thank you.
Thank you for raising the podium. What Andy lacks in height, she makes up for in leadership and personality. So Andy, thank you for that. I think as Andy mentioned, there is something special about this university. And as you look around this evening at the amount of people that are here to be a part of this experience, I think you would probably agree. So last year, we officially launched the Alumni Mentor Program as a pilot initiative. And we wanted to use the first cohort of the program as an opportunity to really test the waters and see if the program that we built out had the right structure in place for us to accomplish our goals and ultimately support all of the participants. Although we had high hopes for the cohort, we didn't exactly know what to expect. But let me tell you that our first cohort exceeded our expectations. We had an excellent group of mentors and mentees who embraced the experience and created wonderful memories in the process. So we thought it would be great to have a couple of our mentor-mentee pairs from the first cohort join us this evening to share a little bit about their experiences in the program and offer some feedback and advice to our new cohort. Please help me welcome to the panel alumni mentor Morgan Larson and her student mentee Taylor Storbakken, and alumni mentor Wes Chambers and his student mentee Blake Pulse. You guys can come over here. It's all good, Blake. It's all good. You just got here from class. We'll forgive him. Well, thank you to the four of you for being here this evening. I really appreciate it. I know just from speaking with the four of you individually, the type of impact that this program had on you and your counterpart. So as I mentioned, at the beginning of this is really a journey. You heard Andy talking about the importance of being vulnerable, right? And as I mentioned here, we didn't really know what to expect with our first cohort. It really was a pilot program. You guys were the guinea pigs, so we appreciate you being a part of that. But I want to ask the four of you, let's start by just simply helping us understand what inspired you to be a part of a pilot program for an alumni mentor program. Morgan, how about we start with you?
Sure. To me, it's a very simple answer in that I wish I would have had this when I was a student. Simply put, I didn't have anyone in my life that was in the industry that I was in. So I went to school for advertising here at SDSU and didn't really know anyone specifically in advertising or marketing, but I just knew it was a field that interested me. And so while I did have my professors and the students go alongside with me and, guest speakers, I just didn't truly feel like I had someone that was working in the industry that I could bounce things off of. And so for me, I just knew that was what I would have loved and needed during school. And so it was an easy win for me to be able to be a part of it.
I wanted to be a part of this pilot program because I knew that it would offer some insight into the industry. And I have my professors and my advisors that I can go to, but it was also nice to have someone that I could just text and ask them little questions that I had and kind of have that go-to person. I'm also a mentor, a part of a youth program. And so being a part of that, being on the mentorship side, I thought it'd be interesting to also be on the mentee side. So.
Wes, Blake, how about you?
Hello. Okay, awesome. So I decided to really get involved with the mentor program because I really was interested in kind of going into corporate workforce, working at a corporate job, navigating business. And that's not something that I had anybody in my life that was really doing. My parents own their own business, so they are president and CEO and they do it all themselves. And I had no one who had to go out and get that first job or give advice on how you navigate through all of that. So that's really what I was looking to get out of it, and definitely got that out of it through working with Wes. So.
For me, it's pretty simple. I've had mentors in the past, lots of them that have really helped me. And so when I get a chance to give back for this kind of an opportunity, it's so worthwhile. And as Andy said, man, you're stealing from these kids. These young adults give me a lot of energy, enthusiasm, and excitement. And Blake did that. And it's such a rewarding program. So get those opportunities, I jumped at it.
So Taylor, Blake, you both are very ambitious individuals. You have some clear goals that you are working towards. It's been a pleasure watching you develop over the course of the past year going through the program. How would you say that your mentors helped you in your personal and professional growth? Taylor, why don't you start?
So clear goals, no, probably not on that side, but ambitious, yes. So I never know what I want to do. I know that I want to go out and do things, but not really know exactly what. So it's been nice to be able to go to Morgan and kind of ask those questions about different ways I can go in the advertising industry. Do I want to go in-house? Do I want to go agency? Things like that.
Yeah, very similar over here too with, I have been very active on campus, thought I was going to go to law school for the longest time, decided I don't want to go to law school, decided I want to go to corporate, and now I'm in grad school. So over the last year, I've had kind of just a huge midlife crisis, but it's been really good to just go and have someone to bounce those questions off of, have someone to talk to and ask advice, and kind of shoot straight with me on what they would do if they were in these situations, and weighing out pros and cons and things like that.
So Wes and Morgan, I think one of the challenges for any mentor is trying to manage your time wisely, right? You are working professionals, you're highly respected within your organizations and industries, you have family and friends, a social life, and now this is an additional commitment that you're making. How do you balance your own professional responsibilities with that mentoring commitment?
There's always time for what's important. I think that's what Andy said, maybe, right? I think that was the quote she had. Exactly. You prioritize what you do by what's most important. And if you value experiences like this, you will find the time to make it happen. Frankly, folks like Blake make it easy because it's very organized. Most of ours was via Zoom. So finding an hour, 45 minutes to have a quick chat via Zoom, pretty easy to do. Technology enables us to do a lot of things really well. So, yeah, just prioritizing what's important, and it happens.
Cosign. I agree. Yeah, honestly, it was very easy to, and the nice thing is we had our 45-minute, hour-long meetings, during the month, but then a quick text or a phone call, very easy to do, like with technology too, just very easy to be a part of it. And just like Wes said, you prioritize what's important, and to me, Taylor was very important. So it was very easy to say yes or jump on a quick call if needed. By you guys showing up here, I think that shows that this is important to you too. So I don't think this should be an issue, but I just continue to make that a priority for if you're a mentor or a mentee, it becomes easy as time goes on.
So I think one of the challenges with this type of program, a mentor program, is understanding that at a foundational level, it's all based on relationships, right? Really hard to measure success when it comes to relationships. So I'm curious to know, within your professional relationships, how did you measure success? How were you ensuring that, yes, we are making progress, we are moving forward and accomplishing maybe those goals that the mentee and mentor, for that matter, set at the beginning of the program?
I felt like I had a measure of success when I had a text from Taylor into the relationship saying, "Hey, could you jump on a call quick with me? I have a question for you." And to me, that meant that level of trust was there, that she felt comfortable enough to just jump on a call that wasn't a pre-planned thing. It wasn't part of a meeting that we had set up. But she just truly had a more career facing question. And the fact that she went straight to me with that meant that was easily success in my eyes there.
Yeah, I think it had a lot to do with meaningful conversations. I think we got past, just the getting to know each other, and we're actually talking about career decisions, life decisions. I think about a call at one point when you were thinking about opportunity over in Minnesota, and we were going back and forth about, was that really what you wanted to do? To me, I think that's the role of a mentor, is to be someone who listens and provides perspective. And that's when I thought we really made progress.
I kind of hear a common thread amongst the two of you, and it almost kind of ties back to what Andy was talking about before, of that importance of vulnerability. And once that was made available, or it was evident that was transpiring, then it felt like, aha, that's that aha moment that we're finally moving forward in this relationship. Blake and Taylor, we talked about before, you both are incredibly busy. You have a lot on your plate. I think these students would be curious to know, how did you manage your time and commitments to ensure that you made the most of the opportunity that you had with Wes and Morgan?
Yeah, so I think the big thing is going into it, I knew that it was something I really wanted to put a lot of my energy into. So I knew that making time wasn't going to be a big concern for me. I had a very busy schedule. I was the Students Association president last year, and that job's a big job, and you're busy and running around all the time. So a lot of times meetings happened at 8 a.m. for an hour. But it was definitely, waking up an hour earlier to start your day, starting off with a conversation about just life and career was definitely worth it and worth prioritizing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Blake, how if it's important, you'll make time for it. So one of the things, like if I was in Sioux Falls, I would text Morgan, let her know, kind of working around if I'm already somewhere, might as well meet up. Yeah, and it was just like important for us to meet up. So, yeah.
So one of the things that I heard frequently from the last group of mentors is that they actually felt like they learned as much, if not more, than the mentees themselves. So I'm just curious from Wes and Morgan's perspective, how has this mentoring experience working with Blake and Taylor, how has this impacted you as a professional?
I would definitely say it was really exciting just to be a little bit of a fly on the wall, even with just Taylor's going through, hey, what classes are you in? And what do you, I felt like I was kind of nerding out again on what's the curriculum like for advertising students again. And but it was really cool just to see, okay, what are the types of things, like obviously advertising and marketing, just like other industries, is ever evolving, ever changing. So I really had a fun time just kind of connecting with her on what are the things you guys are focusing on now? What are the things that, what has changed since I've been here 10 years ago with that. And so I think industry-wise, that was really cool. But also then I think like Andy had mentioned that others had talked about is just then using this relationship as, okay, now I have someone that's almost in my corner too, that's in a different generation than I am. And I think that's really amazing that I've had a good friend of mine tell me you should have someone, a friend in every generation, both above and below you. And so now I feel like I have at least one now with Taylor here, and which is really cool just to be able to have someone to bounce ideas off of for things that pertain to her generation now.
That's great.
I had a specific conversation with our human resources department. Our goal is to bring in the next set of brilliant people to our organization. And part of my conversations with Blake really led me to think about our onboarding process, how we recruit, how do we connect differently. And we're making some modifications. You probably didn't know this, Blake, but based on a lot of the conversations that you and I had about trying to bring more clarity to the roles that we're trying to bring people into, try to portray those in ways that resonate instead of the old job descriptions that people posted. They talk at this high level that nobody really doesn't resonate. And so a lot of what we're doing, it was tailored a little bit after our conversation. So thanks for letting me steal from you.
Hey, good job, Blake. All right, let's close with one final question. We have 113 mentor-mentee pairs that are launching in this new cohort. Many of them are new to the program. I'll ask the four of you, what tip or piece of advice would you offer to them as they look to start this journey?
Don't be afraid to turn towards your mentor with questions. Sometimes, like, especially at the beginning, it can be like intimidating and you feel like you're being like a pest to your mentor, asking them questions. But really they applied to this program just like you did, and they're here to help and guide you. So don't be afraid to turn to them.
I would echo a very similar sentiment in, like, don't be afraid to ask the really hard questions, those questions that you've been thinking about, career moves. They've got a lot of experience that we as college students just don't have. And I would say if you have a question on your mind, just ask. And if they don't know, I'm sure someone in their network knows, and don't be afraid to connect with their network as well.
I do think that vulnerability piece is huge though too, of just getting level set and on the same playing field. Hey, we're both humans here and we both have gone through, yes, maybe I've gone through a few more ups and downs and just questions in my career. And so I can help you with that. But I think like has been mentioned here, it's definitely a two-way street from both a mentee and mentor perspective, that you can get just as much out of each other's relationship from each other.
I would just add, do all of what they said, but also really, as Andy articulated, let's have some fun with this too, because this is such part of what makes this prioritizing this easy is it's exciting. It broadens your perspective. It gives you something as a mentor in the grind of your daily work. It's it changes the way you think about things. It's something different to work on. And I found myself having a better day after having those calls. So have some fun with it.
Thank you all. Thank you for being up here, for sharing your experience with others. We really appreciate your time. Thank you. Four of the best. Really appreciate it. It probably comes as no surprise to all of you that Morgan and Wes have been asked and have agreed to serve as mentors again this year in this new cohort. So we really are appreciative of the dedication that they've made to the program. These are just a couple of the many of the successful mentor-mentee pairs that were able to create memorable experiences in the program. If you're sincere with your intentions and you make the necessary commitment, I think that you will find that your experience in the program will positively impact you all as well. You're about to embark on a journey. So for students, I want you to think of yourselves as the drivers in this journey. You will decide the direction that you take. You're going to decide the milestones that you want to reach along the way, and you'll decide how quickly you proceed to your destination. Mentors, you're riding shotgun. You will serve as the mentees' guides. You're going to provide advice along the way. You'll point out when the students get off track, and you'll help them navigate by the quickest and most successful routes to those milestones. And hopefully, you'll help them avoid a few pitfalls along the way. Through it all, be sure that you both take time to enjoy and appreciate the journey itself and not just the arrival at your destination. So with that, what I would like to do now is walk you through some of the expectations of the program so that we all have a better understanding and a better sense of what is expected of the participants. The program is scheduled to run from October of 2023 to April of 2024, April 19th to be exact. So we're talking about almost an entire academic year. Our program calendar, which is available in our program handbook and on our website, lists the key dates that you should be aware of. But I should note that we have accounted for things such as holidays and finals and spring breaks, so you should have ample time to be able to complete your required activities. Each mentor-mentee pair will meet a minimum of once per month for at least an hour to complete those required activities. Now, ideally, you'll be connecting more frequently when possible, but how you meet, whether that's in person, virtually, over the phone, is really up to each of you. These are simply minimum expectations, but again, I'm hopeful you'll find ways to stay connected throughout the month leading up to your meeting. Text messages, emails, quick phone calls. If you're looking to develop this relationship into something meaningful, like we heard earlier, it is going to require you to have more frequent interactions. The more, the better. We've all heard that adage. You'll get out of it what you put into it. So make an effort to remain connected throughout the process. As I mentioned, you'll focus on completing required activities, which I will unpack for you in greater detail here in a moment. But the purpose of the required activities is really twofold. The first of which is we want to make sure that we provide structure for your interactions. We want those interactions to have real substance and meaning. And I'm hopeful that you'll have real personal interactions that dive into the vast areas of your lives. But I also recognize that it can sometimes be challenging to get past some of those surface level conversations. Things like, how have classes been going? You have any challenges that you're dealing with? What can I do for you? All valid questions worth asking and addressing, but we want to go beyond that. And these required activities are going to help you move past those often exhausted conversations that give you real purpose to your interactions. The second is that required activities are designed to better prepare you, the students, as you look to transition and evolve as professionals into your careers. It's going to help you in developing soft skills that I can assure you that employers desperately covet, while at the same time also helping you to expand your professional networks. We're going to ask that each pair read through and sign the mentor program agreement during your first meeting. The mentor program agreement is a demonstration of commitment by all parties to the success of the mentor-mentee relationship and the program. We need to ensure everyone is making a good faith effort to make this experience successful. Now, I think we all recognize this is by no means a legally binding contract or anything. It's just simply a good faith document to, again, demonstrate your commitment to one another. And I'm not going to bore you by reading you the document itself, but I would encourage you to take some time to go through it in detail. However, I do want to call out just a few items within the agreement that I think are important to highlight. The first of which is there is a bullet that indicates that all parties agree to handle matters with respect and confidentiality. I think we recognize that any solid relationship is built on trust. So let's be mindful of this and approach this new relationship with respect and confidentiality. Students, you might get to a point where you feel comfortable enough to share some of your personal lives with your mentors. you wouldn't want them sharing that information with others. Mentors, you might feel comfortable enough sharing some of the information about your business or your organization that you wouldn't want made public. So again, let's build that trust through respect and confidentiality. Additionally, another bullet on the agreement that I want to highlight is the importance of being respectful of one another's time. Okay, we've already established you all are incredibly busy and we want to be respectful of that. So things like needing to cancel or reschedule your meetings or communication, let's just make sure we recognize we all have a lot on our plate. Let's not go MIA or fail to follow through on a commitment that you made or just absolutely flake out. All right, so my suggestion, as I mentioned before, stay in communication throughout the month. Quick communications, whether text messages, emails, phone calls, leading up to your meeting can keep you each other abreast of what's happening and allow you to be able to adapt and prepare as needed. Students, you should know that you are responsible for arranging all meetings and planning the logistics of said meetings. So when those meetings take place, where and how, that is your responsibility. So what I would suggest is work with your mentors, coordinate your calendars, and be proactive in the planning process. If possible, send out some calendar invites so that you both have them and you're well aware of what to expect. Students, you are also responsible for turning in the signed agreement to the Alumni Association. You can email it directly to me by November 17th. So you have a little over 2 weeks to turn that in. So that should be priority number one, connecting with your mentor, going through the agreement, getting it signed, and turning it back in. Now, another expectation that we have of both mentors and mentees is completing 2 surveys throughout the program. The first survey is a midpoint survey that will be completed in January, and an end of the program survey that will be completed in April. We want to make this an exceptional experience, not only for you all, but for future cohorts as well. And this is a great opportunity for us to be able to gather feedback from you as you're going through the program. The midpoint survey is really an opportunity for us to just kind of check in to see how are things going. Do you need additional resources and support? And do we need to course correct? And then the final survey, end of the program survey, is our chance to get your feedback to understand what are we doing well and where do we need to look to improve. You can expect to receive emails from me as we get closer to those designated times, providing you with access to those surveys. An overview of the program and all of the expectations that I just covered can be found in the handbook, which you can find on our website, statealum.com/alumni-mentor-program. So certainly check that out. Now, as far as resources, I would like to just quickly walk through for you some of the resources that are available to all of you as you're working together within the program. The first of which is our activity tracker. Now, you've heard me mention earlier that you're embarking on a journey, and of course, any good journey is going to have a map, and this one's no exception. So we put together a program activity tracker that will be your roadmap for the program. The activity trackers list the required activities as well as suggested activities. And I should note that students joining the mentor program for the first time, you will be on track 1. For any student mentees who are returning to the program, you're going to be on track 2. Okay, so track 1 has all of the required activities, the foundational activities that we've built into the program. Track 2 is building on those activities, and we've supplemented them with additional activities. The required activities are exactly what they sound like. These are activities that each pair should complete by the end of the program. Now, on the activity tracker, I will point out, they are listed in the order that we recommend that you complete them, okay? But that being said, I want you to feel free to move them around to accommodate your needs. You know, we understand that some of these activities like job shadowing or attending a networking event does require some additional planning. So if you need to, move those activities around when needed. Each required activity does have supporting documents with instructions and tips on how to get the most out of that activity. So much like the activity tracker itself, the required activities you have the ability within your required activities to be flexible within them and make them your own. You can customize them to your liking and to meet your needs. So for an example, one of the activities is focused on resumes and LinkedIn. You can kind of see that up there. If students, you already have a strong resume because you worked with the Office of Career Development, you may decide you want to spend your time with your mentor focusing more on the LinkedIn tasks. That's perfectly okay. At the end of the day, the primary focus should be on making you a better professional. So customize it to your needs. One final note that I would make on the required activities, they have all been created in a way that can be done both in person or virtually. So you may be thinking, how do we do job shadowing virtually? Don't worry, we've thought of that. We have it covered. So just make sure you reference the documents for those details. Now, as far as suggested activities, these are activities that are available when you are meeting more frequently and you want to be able to add to that meeting experience. They can be as simple as insightful discussion topics such as navigating salary negotiations or finding that work-life balance. Or it might be something just a little bit more casual, like attending an SDSU event together. You don't have to limit yourself in these activities. These are just simply suggestions. So a few examples from the last cohort. We had a couple of mentor-mentee pairs that did podcasts together, right? It was wonderful. So in one scenario, we had the mentor, their organization is doing a podcast and she invited her mentee. And in the other scenario, the student was in a student organization doing a podcast and she invited her mentor. Wonderful opportunities. Another example is we had a mentor who was a nurse and her nursing student mentee went to Pier for the day, for Nurses Day, and they were able to meet with state legislators and nursing industry leaders. And it was a wonderful opportunity for both of them to be able to expand their professional network and learn about the things that are happening that are impacting their field within their state. The last example I'd offer you is a mentor-mentee pair that went tailgating together. What a fun time, right? So they got together, they had some burgers. That mentor is a physician, and he just happened to have a few of his colleagues that were joining him. And what do you know? She expanded her professional network in the process, and she was able to go shadow a couple of them. And she was able to do a mock interview with them, preparing as she was applying for medical school. So these are just a few of the examples that you can do as you seek to interact with one another. Students, what we ask is that when you are filling out your activity tracker, that you list that information on there so that at the end of the program, when you submit your activity tracker to me, we have all of that available. It's a great way for us to gather feedback to see, okay, these are the activities that work. These are the ones where they have more interest, and we can adapt as we go. Now, the final program resource that I would like to highlight for the mentors is our mentor training resource. If there's hesitancy in becoming a mentor, it often stems from this thought, I am not equipped to be a mentor. What do I know about being a mentor? And I want to assure you that as working professionals who are in the trenches every day, you have the experience and the knowledge that these students covet, okay? So if that thought has ever crossed your mind, I'm hopeful this resource that I'm referring to will reassure you that you are the right person for this role. Please do not feel like you have to use this resource, but I think everyone will find something of use within it. The document includes tips and best practices for mentoring. It has a list of student resources available to students that you're welcome to send them to. It also links out to a wonderful training video by Dr. Ellen Ensher, who is a professor at Loyola Marymount University. She's considered one of the leading experts in mentoring. This video is about an hour long, and it's accessible through LinkedIn Learning, and you can get a free 1-month trial. I would highly encourage you, if you're not going to do anything else with this training document, check out that video. As I mentioned before, the activity trackers and the supporting documents are online. After this, tomorrow, I will send an email out to all of you with access with links to that information, so be on the lookout for that. Now, beyond the resources that we have available within the program itself, it's important to recognize the wealth of resources that the university has made available to students as well. Specifically, the Office of Career Development does a tremendous job of working with students who are looking to start their careers. So with that in mind, I'd like to welcome to the podium from the Office of Career Development, Stephen Miedema, who will shine a light on some of those resources. Stephen?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. You know, one of the big things, we hear it all the time. Tonight, we've talked a lot about mentoring and how much of an impact mentoring makes. but mentoring really does make the biggest impact when it comes to careers. We see that across the board all the time, that when students have mentors, they're more confident in their career. They're more confident in taking chances. They're more confident in things like negotiating salary. And so thank you for your time and your effort. It really does make a difference. So I wanted to share with you guys a little bit about the resources that we have that we can help support you. I am by no means an expert in any of your career fields, unless someone in here is a career counselor. So first of all, I wanted to let you guys know that we do exist. So we're over in the Student Union. We are in the Student Engagement Center, which is on Main Street of the Student Union. Pretty much you go to the Students Association office and we're right next door. We get confused all the time. I know Blake loved me for that last year. Otherwise, anybody can reach out to us at our email, careers@sdstate.edu. Any career-related questions, students and alumni are all encouraged to reach out. Alumni, if you have questions too, you can also reach out. We do work with all SDSU alumni for free forever. You can always give us a phone call. You can check us out on the SDSU website. Or for students, you definitely want to take advantage of Handshake. I'll go into that later on. Otherwise, feel free to stop in and be happy to show you Handshake. So when we think about the work that we do with students, it's everything from career and major exploration to helping students network and connect with employers. The thing that might be more useful tonight, just to help you understand what we do, is what we call developing career management skills. It's helping students sell themselves. So it's things like writing a resume, writing cover letters. If students are looking at grad school, they got to write personal statements. Those are confusing. We can also work with students on helping them prepare for interviews. We do mock interviews in our office. And we also just go through the process of how do you find a job? You know, the national average for a job search is it takes 4 months. That's intimidating when you're a student who's only ever walked in and gotten a job at a hardware store before. So we want people to reach out. If anybody is looking for any sort of resources on these things, please just email us. We'll be happy to share them with you. Otherwise, students, you can all find all of this information and schedule one-on-one appointments with myself or one of the other career coaches through Handshake. To get to Handshake, for those of you who are students, you can go to sdstate.joinhandshake.com. Otherwise, just feel free to do a Google search of SD State Handshake and it's going to pop up. Then you'll sign in with your single sign-on. It's the same as everything else on campus. Once you're in there, you're going to be able to find lots of resources. You're going to be able to schedule appointments with us. I think I have it all here. I do. Perfect. Can't remember my slides. You can click on the Career Center tab there. It's going to be in the middle or it'll be on the left side of that screen once you get signed in. And then in there, you can schedule appointments on the left. Otherwise, the resources in the middle there is where we can go and kind of a one-stop shop for any sort of those documents you might need. So if you're looking for resume templates, if you're looking for practice questions, all of that stuff can be found in there. For alumni, if you are interested in accessing any of this, please reach out to us and I can help you get connected. The other part I have to share too is any alumni, if you are interested in hiring Jackrabbits, we would be happy to connect you. So if you are interested, please reach out to us. Our Assistant Director for Employer Engagement is Becky Pastolka. You can email her directly or feel free to email us at careers@sdstate.edu and we would be happy to connect with you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that. Students, if you haven't yet, I would encourage you to schedule time with Stephen and the team over at the Office of Career Development. They are passionate about what they do and helping students, and I think that you will find it a wise investment of your time. One thing I want to emphasize is that mentors, you are not expected to have all the answers. I think that's a myth that we often take on as mentors. It's okay to be unsure. It's okay to not have the answers. What I would suggest is simply guide them to the available resources when you can't help them directly. If you're not sure where to locate resources or what resources are available, you are always welcome to reach out to myself. I would be happy to help you. Now, I recognize that we went over a lot of information over the course of the past 60 minutes. So what I want to do is take the next few minutes to answer any questions that you might have so that we all feel confident walking out of here knowing what it is that we're going to be doing and what's expected of us moving forward. So if you are attending via Zoom, please enter your questions in the chat feature at the bottom of the screen. And with that, If you have questions, just raise your hand. We have microphones back there. Happy to address them. No questions. No? Okay, all right. Well, that means I did my job well. All right, so unless there are any questions, we're going to move on to next steps. We're going to wrap things up with next steps. Okay. So as you can see on the screen here, we have the list of things. These are kind of our marching orders as we move forward. Students, the first order of business is you're going to want to connect with your mentor and schedule your first or your next meeting. I know a handful of you have had an opportunity to be able to already meet with your mentors. If that's the case, fantastic. That's great. If you haven't, that's okay as well. But make sure that you are reaching out to them here shortly, and let's get something on the calendar to have your first meeting here in November. Additionally, as we mentioned before, you're going to want to go over that mentoring agreement with your mentor. So get those signatures and submit them directly to me. You can email it to me. My email address is up there. Mentors and mentees, I would encourage you to download and review the activity tracker and the first activity that you're going to go through in that meeting. As a reminder, I will send an email out tomorrow with a link to the recording of this meeting, a link to those resources, and just a few tips and tricks along the way. So watch for that email to be coming out tomorrow. If you have not submitted your professional headshot, please email that to me also. You're welcome to we have Shelby back here, our photographer. She has a photo station. You are welcome to swing by there afterwards. She could take your photo if you need to. Finally, last thing, I would just ask that you please watch for monthly emails coming out from the Alumni Association. We will send that email out monthly, and it has information about the program. It's going to check in to make sure that you are progressing. We'll provide additional support and resources. Students, I know that you get bombarded, your inbox gets bombarded with a lot of emails from the university. I'm sorry that I'm adding to that, but I would just ask, please prioritize and just watch for that email coming out every single month. So with that, I want to welcome you all to the Alumni Mentor Program. We hope that you find this a fun and rewarding experience. I would encourage you, if you are here right now, please take time to find your mentor. I know there are a number of mentors that couldn't attend in person. They're attending via Zoom, but we still have several that are here now. Please find your mentor. Introduce yourself if you haven't yet. We have some appetizers out in the atrium. Help yourself to that, and definitely take advantage of the photo station. Let's socialize. Be sure to connect with those mentor mentees if they're here. And I just want to thank you again for joining us. Have a great night. And as always, go Jacks.